YouTube, what's going on? Eden has just ended, which means Eden rewards, which means people use Season X tickets, which means I'm here to help you determine which pools you should go for, why, or should you not. In general, the advice is to save your Season X tickets. These are the ones I am talking about, by the way. 6 of them, I believe. And you can transfer it to a Season X selection ticket. That's much more important because, one, if you get 4 of those, so what is that, 24, you can actually max out a new hero just completely. You don't need super tickets, which allows you to save more super tickets for the next one, which allows you to save money, which is just really good. And you can select maybe like the last copy that you need on a really, really, really strong hero. So in general, just save your super tickets. But this advice has been passed down since, like the first season of Season X pretty much. And people still pull in these pools. If you're going to do so, you might as well know what you're getting into. Also, if it's like maybe your first Eden season or something like that, or your second Eden season and you're missing a ton of these Season X heroes, there is more, reason to pull for the pool. So there are 3 recruitment pools: Excellent Recruitment 3, 2, and 1. They all have different heroes. There's way too many heroes in these pools. They're eventually, hopefully, going to add a Excellent Recruitment 4, maybe. I don't know. So let's just jump right into it. I'll talk about the heroes briefly and then talk about kind of the overall pool and then whether or not I think you should go for it based on your situation and what you have going for you. So on Legendary Recruitment 3, we have a Jackie, Flash, Angel, Hammer, Nightingale, Glowblade, Scorpion, Retro, Wrath, Predator, Cannon, and a Hunk. Now, Jackie is a decent hero. She's basically Tuner. So if you have Tuner, you don't need Jackie. If you have Jackie, you don't need Tuner. This is the case for Tiles and Combat and basically the APCs that they're in. It's pretty much just like a direct replacement. Either way, you flip the coin. Jackie's not like technically better than Tuner. Tuner's not technically better than Jackie. They both kind of have their pros and cons. You don't really need a Jackie is what I'm trying to say. Now, Flash is definitely the best shooter hero, the best shooter carry hero. Now, I've said these kind of terms before, but I want to, I guess, sort of define them now so that when you hear this, you're not confused. I basically think of heroes in 3 categories currently. This changes from time to time as the metas evolve, but right now, there are basically 3 categories of heroes. You have your front row hero, which is what I call your tank. Generally, their role is to just soak up as much damage as possible, maybe heal themselves, and have like damage mitigation and potentially, reflection and all that sort of stuff. So you have your tank, you have your support, which is basically there to heal, debuff, buff, and kind of just cause your APCs to do more damage or whatever it may be. And then you have your carry hero, who's generally going to be in your back row, who does all of the damage. Now, some heroes are multiple things. There are like carry supports, carry tanks, etc. But generally, those are kind of the 3 categories. So just keep that in mind as I use those terms. So she is definitely the best shooter carry hero, undisputed. She's very, very good. She's in some of the top APCs. You kind of want her in your base, especially if you need multiple really, really strong APCs. For the most part, unless you're at like the very top competitive levels, you really only need 1 strong APC. You're never going to get hit. You might just need to reinforce a couple of times or like break a reinforcement. Then you'll want 1 super strong APC. So Flash can be a hero for that 1 super strong APC. Now, Angel is a very solid hero. She is just sort of outperformed by better tank heroes. We'll see some of those other tank heroes later, but if you don't have those other heroes, Angel is pretty solid. She's definitely a good option. I'm currently using her in a base with maxed every hero, including the SPs, in an APC, so it goes to show that she's solid. Hammer is pretty niche. He's a fighter carry. Fighter carries generally don't do great, but it's not always the case. I am using Hammer in my fifth APC here, but I do expect that's going to be replaced, with the new Season X heroes and potentially the new SP heroes as well. So Hammer, not really someone that you should be excited getting if you're going to go for this pool. Next up, we have Nightingale. Nightingale is a really, really strong hero in a really, really strong APC, but it's sort of the lower tier. So they're like the very top S tier APCs, and then Nightingale APC is probably like an A tier. It might get replaced, probably not. It'll still have its purpose, but just keep in mind, Nightingale is not an S tier hero. She's probably like an A tier hero with an A tier APC. Now, Glowblade is just very niche. Basically, the only reason why you want Glowblade is for her 6th ability, March and Speed plus 100. After you have that 6th ability, there's almost no need for Glowblade at all. But that March and Speed is very nice, especially if you're speed tiling or just doing whatever you want to do. Scorpion, solid hero, but never used, at the top APCs. But at, the secondary level, Scorpion has, some solid APCs. Retro, not really used. Wrath, not really used. Predator, never used. Cannon, never used. And Hunk is used in a very specific APC. Beast, Hunk, Thunderbolt, or, Raven, Hunk, Thunderbolt, or Raven. Basically just those APCs. If you have those APCs and Hunk isn't maxed, you don't really need Hunk maxed, to be honest. His 7th isn't going to provide a ton for the APC, but it is nice because they are full fighter APCs. You can reconstruct now without having maxed heroes. They're like flip-flopping on this seemingly every other week. So maybe that'll change, and maybe you will need to max them, but whatever. So Hunk is in an S tier APC, but he is not an S tier hero. He's a support hero, and supports are generally the least priority. It basically goes your damage dealer or your carry is the number one priority. If you don't have a carry, your APC probably sucks. Again, there are some heroes that are carries and something else. Like it could be a carry tank, for example, like Raven. But if you don't have a carry, the APC probably sucks. If you don't have a tank, your APC is basically butter. You're just going to get destroyed. So that's second priority. And then if you don't have a support, there are just a ton of other heroes, a ton of other options that you can have in place of like an S tier support. So it's definitely the least or the last priority. So Hunk unfortunately falls into that bubble. Now let's talk about the overall, strength of this pool. Well, basically only Flash is sort of the only S tier hero. Nightingale's an A tier hero. Jackie's probably an A tier hero. Angel and Hunk A tier because Hunk is like a B or C tier hero, but he's in an S tier APC. So he basically becomes like an A tier hero. Angel is an A tier hero, but she's not in an S tier APC, so she sort of falls down. And then the rest are just sort of whatever. So not a very good pool, not super strong. The only reason I would ever go for this pool is like if I desperately needed Flash or something like that, but I would just save up my tickets to get 6 and then just select Flash. If you just do the math, there are basically 12 heroes in this pool, so the likelihood of you getting 1 copy of Flash will require you to have 12 Season X tickets, where you could just save 6 and then just pull Flash anyway. Now, let's move on to X Legendary Recruitment 2. Now that we know all that information, we can go pretty quickly through the next one. So we have Raven, who is probably the best Season X hero in the game right now, just period. He is a carry tank, which is just ridiculous. He can fit in basically any APC because he is so good. He is definitely a must-have hero on any base, which automatically puts this pool above Legendary 3, or Recruitment 3. We have Wasteland Outlaw, who's an S tier support hero, but again, supports are the last priority. However, if all you're missing is like supports or something, Wasteland Outlaw is going to be a really, really strong support. He is in the top APCs currently. Kung Fu Master is basically an A tier support. He's just kind of just a worse version of Outlaw, but it's not that big of a deal. Really, the only like reason why you would be using Wasteland Outlaw over Kung Fu, vice versa, is for troop type scenarios. So if you wanted like all vehicles, for example, that's when you would use Kung Fu. Robust is a super niche hero in just a super niche APC. Not really needed, even in that APC is kind of out of the meta, so not really like necessary. Thunderbolt is an S tier carry. He's a fighter carry. He is the best fighter carry. He's just better than Hammer, period. He's in one of the top, if not the top APCs in the game currently. So another reason why this pool just absolutely outranks Recruitment 3. Collector, pretty useless. Dawn, useless. Fortune Teller, useless. Huntress, Siren, Rose, useless. And then Death Rider is another one of those niche heroes because of his 6th ability, 300 increased demolition power. You do want him. It's very good for taking structures. It's very good for getting your contribution up, so you get those core rewards or those powerhouse rewards. But in general, he's just a really good hero to have. You basically can just put fighters on him, send them out to structures, and he'll do a ridiculous amount of demolition, which allows you to use less durability, to take structures faster, and all sorts of things. But once you have that 6th ability, you don't really need him. He's not a great combat hero anymore. He had his reign for years, but now he's pretty much retired to just attacking structures. So the overall strength of this pool is pretty high. Because you have Fallen Raven, Thunderbolt, and Wasteland Outlaw, they are all S tier heroes in S tier APCs. They're all like required to play at the max level, but think before you pull these heroes. If you have no copies of all these heroes, or not no copies. If you have no copies, definitely don't pull this unless you have like 100 of these. But if you're missing one copy of each of these heroes or something like that, maybe there's an opportunity for you to pull here. Since there are 12 heroes, the chance of you getting is 1 out of 4. So like at least maybe you'll get one of them if you used 4. But again, I would probably just save up those 6 tickets. However, much better pool than Recruitment 3. I basically would recommend don't even look in Recruitment 3. And finally, we have the last one, Excellent Recruitment 1. So, Mech Pilot is arguably the best carry in the game. Maybe. She is a support carry. So she actually has multiple functions. She buffs, she debuffs, she heals, maybe. I don't remember, but she basically does everything. She does a lot of damage and then everything else. So she's just a really, really strong hero, S tier hero in an S tier APC. You definitely need her. Yeah. If you need more than 1 or 2 APCs, Mech Pilot's going to be very, very high on the list. Beast, similarly. If Raven didn't exist, he would be the best X tank. But even with Raven, he still has a role. The town is big enough for the both of them. So he is a S tier hero. He has an S tier APC. Definitely go for Beast. Now, Tuner is in an interesting spot. It is kind of like Jackie. So if you have Jackie, you don't need Tuner. But generally speaking, most people have Tuner by now and not Jackie. If that's the case, Tuner is really good for tiles and for battle. Having it maxed out is nice, especially for winter when you're really, really forcing. You will kind of want Tuner to be, as strong as he can be. Other than that, though, he might get phased out, but he's definitely a good hero. Diver was a pretty solid niche hero last season. She's definitely phased out of the meta. She's just not in the meta, basically, in the top tier meta anymore. But she is a decent hero, and if you're kind of in maybe like the silver leagues or gold leagues, Diver can do pretty good for you. So solid hero, a tier hero. Unfortunately, they're just better heroes, basically. So the rest of her cast in her APCs are usually just taken by better heroes. Flare, not really used. Cyclone's in a similar position to Tuner. She's sort of attached at the hip with Tuner. She's really good for taking tiles, actually. Even if you have Jackie, for example, Jackie and Cyclone can go really well. She might start to be like phased out of the meta pretty soon. Maybe the newest Season X heroes. As it stands currently, Beast does a really, really good job of countering Cyclone. But, not everyone is going to use the Beast APC hero at all times. So Cyclone still has a role to play in combat and a very, very, very good role in tiles. Lust, just useless. Shadow, useless. Technician, useless. Kamikaze, useless. Nomad, useless. And then Sven, the undisputed king of tiles. If you don't have Sven and you're pushing tiles, you're doing it wrong. You pretty much need Sven, but there are definitely better ways to get Sven than just hoping for a, 8% chance of getting him. There are definitely better options. Now, let's talk about the overall strength of this pool. Basically, you have Mech Pilot and Beast being S tier heroes, Sven being the GOAT of tiles, so basically required. Tuner and Cyclone being A tier heroes with, in a really good APC. So it's a pretty solid pool. You're basically having 5 heroes that are very good. If you get them, you should be excited. But if you already have a couple of these heroes maxed, there's no reason. For the most part, most people are going to have Tuner, Cyclone, and Sven maxed already. And it's just Mech Pilot and Beast that maybe they need one copy of or multiple copies of. If that's the case, definitely don't go for the pool. Again, your chance of getting it is 1 out of 6 of getting a copy of one of these heroes. It's simply 1 out of 6, so it makes no sense. You might as well just save up 6 and just select. It's just much, much better. So there you have it, guys. These pools are pretty bad, and they will continue to be bad until they, maybe branch it out so there's 4 pools. Then we'll start seeing some use. But for now, there's basically no reason to go for these pools. The exception is if you don't have any of these heroes, but even still, I would just save all of my Season X recruitment tickets for selections. You'll thank me 100 times. Unless you get super lucky, and then you're just gambling, and then you're just super lucky. If you are that guy, I guess, go for it. But otherwise, save. All right, that's going to do it for me, guys. Hopefully it helps. If nothing else, if it convinces you not to pull for the tickets, or not to pull for these pools, then I have done my job. All right, I will catch you guys on the next one. There's a lot of new information, a lot of new Walking Dead stuff, and more to be had. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.